Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Thanks for being with me here today. So today I have 3 pictures that I was able to cut down to 3 by 3, and honestly they're all kind of similar, but I couldn't decide which one I liked the best, so I'm going to go ahead and use all 3 of them in a grid style layout today. So I've pulled a couple of papers I want to use. This is a piece of bright blue cardstock from some of my Hip Kit Club subscription, and I love this pattern paper. I'm obsessed with that floral on the back side, but I'm going to use the other side that has the dark blue pattern. So this is the page maps sketch that I found on Pinterest that is going to be my inspiration. And so I'm going to layer it just about like this, and then I will go ahead and map my photos on some white cardstock to get my grid style going here. So I'm thinking that it'll look about like that. And of course I will gut out that bottom piece of paper just to save that really pretty floral pattern that's on the back side. So I did map my photos, and then now here I'm just getting ready to do a little bit of die cutting. So I pulled out an extra piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to start by cutting it at 3¼ inches because that is how big my photo mats are. And then I'm just measuring how much taller I want it to be, because in the sketch it does show how that journaling piece over to that top left, it does stand taller than the other photo sizes. And so I'm trying about 4 inches or 4¼ I end up actually cutting this particular piece more than once. The other die cutting that I need to do is to cut a tag, because it does show that there is a tag tucked underneath those top 2 pieces. So I'm just using the back side of that bright blue cardstock because it has a fun little pattern on the back side. Now, as far as the top of that journaling piece, the sketch does have like a torn notebook edge. So like I said, I did end up cutting this more than once. My washi tape ripped the paper a little bit, and I also didn't really love that particular pattern that was cut. So I went digging through my dies to find a different torn notebook edge. So I ended up cutting it a second time. The other thing I did is I cut another tag using some of this lime green cardstock. This is from my Close to My Heart stash. It's the color Limeade. And I also had some pre-cut borders using that same color. And so I thought it would be really fun to put like a little scallop down at the bottom. And I think that that matches the photos really well, because I had a couple of pillows on my couch that have like greens and blues and things like that. Okay, so this is a little scrap piece of paper here that I found in my February Hip Kit Club subscription. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this because it's got that yellow, and my son is wearing a yellow hat. And I just really loved the look of it kind of layered over the bottom of that scallop. And then these embellishments are all coming from that same February 2025 kit. It came with these really pretty vellum letters, and I want my title to say Hat Day. So I just went through all of the letters that I had and pulled out anything that, was H, A, T, D, or Y. But I think I'm only going to do the word hat. And I was just trying to make sure that I had all 3 letters in different colors. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can do this. I think I'm going to need to layer them over each other a little bit, and also kind of hang the H and the T off of the side of that journaling piece. It was around this point too that I realized I didn't want to use those 2 tags that I had cut. And so once I finish getting my letters adhered down to the page, I'm going to go ahead and pull in some different kinds of embellishments from that same February 2025 Hip Kit subscription. So the tricky thing about vellum is that you can usually see the adhesive on the back side. So what I'm doing is just putting a little bit of tape runner on the back of each of my letters just to tack them in place momentarily. And then I am going to poke some stitching holes right in the center of each of them and stitch them down with some coordinating colored threads. So I do like to attach my vellum pieces, any kind of vellum pieces with stitching, but I actually saw these letters go down in a similar way on, I want to say, a Jana Eubank layout that she did back when this kit first came out in February, and I thought that it was fabulous. So that was kind of my inspiration for that. So I think that turned out really cute. And so the other part of my title is going to say Day. And so I am turning to these glitter foam alphabet stickers that I have also from that kit. And I was all ready to start gluing them down. And then I realized, I glanced down and I'm like, oh my gosh, I already used all of the A. A's. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board. But then I noticed at the bottom of the carrier sheet, they had put a few extra vowels and commonly used letters down there. And so I did have another A, so I was very excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the word day right underneath of that H. So these photos were a really cute memory. They were from the spring of 2020 when, of course, we were in lockdown for COVID. And the kids had just kind of come up with their own ideas for making each day unique or something different, from the rest that we're all kind of running together. And so similar to how at school you will have like a spirit week where each day the kids are supposed to, do crazy hair or wear this or that or the other. My kids had come up with their own little spirit days. And so this was their hat day. And so all day long, the three of them just wore a hat, and that entertained them, I guess. And so it was kind of funny. So this is just a picture of the three of them on the couch in their hats for hat day. So I am going through all of my embellishments that I have in that February kit. Like there is so much. It is really kind of crazy how much stuff that I have to work with here. So I've got some floral die cuts. I have other kinds of die cuts. I have really fun chipboard pieces, and this February kit did come with some really cute like old-fashioned TVs and radios and things like that are chipboard. So I pulled out that yellow TV, and I'm going to use that for one of my embellishment clusters. And then I'm just kind of building it out with a couple of floral pieces. And then I'm going to start building out the top by the title, also with a few florals here. So I'm just kind of looking for flowers that go along with the colors I've already introduced in my layout. So the oranges, some greens, especially the lime green, the navy blue. So anything like that, the yellows that I can find. I try to do a couple of those chipboard hearts, but I end up not using those. This one orange die cut here, I love this. It just is a little rectangle that lists the days of the week. And so I thought that would be really perfect considering, what the layout was about. And so I'm going to tuck that underneath the florals there. And like I said, try to fit in these chipboard hearts, but I end up pulling them off. I don't leave them on there. So other things that I have to work with are puffy stickers. So once I'm done doing these guys, then I turn to the puffy stickers, and right away I find a couple of things that I like. There's a really cute orange circle on there that says Epic Day. So we want to include that one. And I'm going to end up moving this down here by the yellow TV and putting it over top of some of my flowers. And then I also find a couple of other puffy stickers. I get like an orange flower and then a green, one of those lime green colored flowers. And I thought that that would be good to kind of spread around the page too. Since I already have one puffy sticker, I wanted to include at least a few other ones just to keep things similar in my embellishment clusters. So I'm just kind of going through and finalizing my choices here. Right now I do have that one little flower die cut up in the top right corner, but I am going to move that. I was trying to get a third point going for my visual triangle, but I end up taking that off. And the other thing that I had in my embellishments from this kit was a bunch of photo corners. And they came in different colors. So I found some navy blue ones, and I just put 2 navy blue photo corners in the 2 corners of my grid that didn't really have a big cluster happening, and I thought that that worked out well. I'm layering some of those puffies florals over top of my die cuts just to get things kind of layered up here. I'll get that circle one down, and then that's going to be just about it for that. And then I realized that in my title, I do have that glitter foam, and I haven't repeated that anywhere else on the layout. So I'm going to go back to my embellishments here that came with my kit. And another thing that I had was a bunch of different little shapes. So I had some stars and circles and things like that are in that same glitter foam. So I'm going to pull those in here. And at first I tried to maybe do a few more of the lime green color, but then my title, my letters were in that bright orange. So I thought maybe I should stay the same. So what I'm going to do is just grab a couple of the smaller sized circles, and I'm going to layer 2 of them over in the center of my flowers. And so that way I've introduced that same kind of thing in other places on the layout as well. Then I grabbed my white gel pen, and I'm going to do a little faux stitching line around 3 sides of my bright blue cardstock square there. I didn't do around the bottom just because I had layered that little scrap piece of yellow pattern paper, and so the margins weren't all the same, and so I felt like that would have kind of hidden, if I had gone around the perimeter of that bright blue square, then you wouldn't have seen it anyway, so I just left that part off. And then I added a few white gel details to some of my flower die cuts, and that's going to be it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. I did deviate a little bit from the original sketch, but I like using those as a jumping off point. So I hope you guys have found it fun and inspiring, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good day. Happy crafting.